Have you ever wondered why it's so easy to pick up some habits and so hard to stick with others? Well, today we are diving deep into the brilliant framework from James Clear's Atomic Habits. We're going to find out how the tiniest, almost invisible changes can lead to absolutely remarkable results. Let's do this.
Right off the bat, the book hits you with this incredible idea. It's a quote that the San Antonio Spurs, one of the winningest teams in NBA history, actually has hanging in their locker room, and it just nails the core theme of the whole book. The most powerful results are almost always delayed. The real, gritty work happens way before you ever see the payoff. So here's the big takeaway from that. That final blow, the 101st hit that finally cracks the rock, it's not some magic moment. Not at all. It is the direct result of all the 100 hits that came before it. We love to talk about overnight success, but what we're really seeing is the product of all those consistent, tiny, and often completely unseen efforts adding up over time. Okay, so this brings us to a really important idea in the book. It's called the Plateau of Latent Potential. And you know this feeling. It's that super frustrating time when you are putting in the work, you're hammering away at your own rock, but you see nothing, no cracks, no progress. And this right here, this is the danger zone. This is where most people quit. Think of it like this. You've got an ice cube in a room that's, say, 25 degrees. You slowly start to raise the heat, 26 degrees, 27. You work all the way up to 31 degrees, and from the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. It's still just a solid block of ice. But then you hit 32 degrees. That one tiny degree shift, and suddenly a massive change happens. It starts to melt. That single degree didn't do all the work. No way. It just unlocked all the work that came before it. So how do we actually get through that plateau? What's the hidden engine that's running all of our behaviors, even when we can't see the results? Well, it turns out there's a really simple 4-step feedback loop that's running in the background of our lives all the time. It's called the habit loop. Every single habit you have, the good, the bad, the ugly, it all follows these 4 simple steps. It kicks off with a cue, which is basically the trigger that tells your brain to get going. That leads to a craving, the real motivation behind the habit. Then comes a response, which is the habit itself, what you actually do. And finally, you get a reward, which satisfies that craving and tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember to do that again. Let's make this real with an example we all know. Okay, problem phase. You hit a tough spot on a project at work. That's your cue. Instantly, you feel stuck, frustrated. You just want a little relief. That's the craving. So what happens next? The solution phase. You pull out your phone and start scrolling social media. That's the response. And the reward? You get that moment of distraction, that little hit of relief. Your brain has just learned to connect feeling stuck with checking Instagram, and boom, the loop is complete. So now that we know what the loop is, how do we actually take control? How do we become the architects of our own habits? Well, to build good ones, we have to hack each step, starting with the cue. This brings us to the first law: make it obvious. You have to understand that your environment is like this invisible hand guiding your behavior all day long. So the more obvious and visible the cues for your good habits are, the more likely you are to actually do them. And of course, the opposite is true. If you want to break a bad habit, you have to make its cue invisible. Out of sight, out of mind. Literally. The best tactic here is to become a designer of your environment. I love this example from the book. At the Amsterdam airport, they put a tiny sticker of a fly inside each urinal. Seriously. And this small, obvious cue gave men something to aim for, which drastically cut down on spillage and saved 8% on cleaning costs. The takeaway for you is to be the architect of your own world. Want to read more? Don't leave your book on a shelf. Put it right on your pillow. All right, so you've made the cue obvious. The next step is to tackle the engine of the loop, the craving. This is the second law of behavior change, and it's all about making your habits irresistible. You have to make it attractive. The more appealing an opportunity seems, the more likely your brain is to latch onto it. And it's not actually the reward itself that gets us moving, it's the anticipation of the reward. That's what creates the dopamine spike that drives us to act. So if we want to build a good habit, we've got to make it sound really appealing. A brilliant way to do this is a tactic called temptation bundling. There's this great story about an engineering student who wanted to watch Netflix, but needed to exercise. So what did he do? He hacked his bike to link them together. The TV would only play Netflix if he was pedaling at a certain speed. Genius, right?
So you can do this too. Link something you want to do with something you need to do. Maybe you only let yourself listen to your favorite podcast while you're cleaning the kitchen. Okay, moving right along to our third law. This one targets the response part of the loop, the action itself. The goal here is to remove as much friction as possible. The third law is make it easy. Look, at our core, human beings are wired to follow the path of least resistance. Our brains are designed to conserve energy whenever possible. It's just biology. So if you want a good habit to stick, you have to make it ridiculously easy to start. And on the flip side, to break a bad habit, you want to add as much friction as you can. Make it a pain to do. And the 2-minute rule is the perfect tool for this. It's so simple. You just take whatever habit you want to build and scale it down to something that takes less than 2 minutes to do. So do yoga every day becomes take out my yoga mat. Run 3 miles becomes put on my running shoes. The point isn't to achieve the ultimate goal on day one. The point is to master the art of just showing up. Because once you've started, it's a whole lot easier to keep going. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the fourth law. This one closes the habit loop by focusing on the reward. If you want a habit to truly stick, you have to make it satisfying. This might be the most important rule of all. What is immediately rewarded gets repeated. What is immediately punished gets avoided. Our brains didn't evolve for long-term rewards like saving for retirement. They evolved in a world of immediate returns. So for a habit to stick, the ending has to feel good right now. The paperclip strategy is such a great example of this. This young stockbroker, Trent Dursmed, started each day with 2 jars on his desk. One was full of 120 paperclips, the other was empty. After every single sales call, he'd move 1 paperclip over. That small, physical action gave him a little visual signal of progress, an immediate bit of satisfaction that kept him motivated to get to 120. All right, now this all leads us to what I think is the most powerful idea in this entire book. See, these small habits, these tiny little actions we're talking about, they're not just about hitting goals. They're about something much, much bigger. Every single action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to be. Every time you do a workout, you're not just burning some calories. You are casting a vote that says, I am a healthy person. You wish to become. Right? The goal isn't just to write a book, it's to become a writer. The goal isn't just to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. Your habits are literally how you embody a particular identity. And that right there is the whole philosophy. You don't need these huge, life-altering changes. Just focus on tiny improvements, on getting 1% better every single day. Because those small habits, they don't just add up, they compound. So the real question is, what's one tiny vote you can cast today for the person you want to become tomorrow?